Good afternoon, fam. I know that I normally don't do afternoons. It's a beautiful day, so I'm out here on outside doing some work. I'm gonna tag a few people, and then I'm gonna just kind of start back because I think we cannot get complacent. So it is. We've gone through this issue um, with 45 exploiting Juneteenth, the day that supposedly commemorates the freedom of black slavery in this country. And as much as it didn't actually happen in the wake that some people actually stayed on the plantations because they had no place to go. They didn't get there 40 acres and a mule. So is in itself it's because if we actually ended slavery, half of the shit that we're arguing about right now, that in itself shows you that the progress just did not happen the way they want you to believe it happened. More importantly, if we had a point in this country where we were split in half, where we were warring together, you have to know that some of these people that in these wars, especially in the South, were not about freedom of slavery. So but that is not even what I wanted to talk to you about. So 45 is going to Tulsa, Oklahoma on Juneteenth, knowing the significance of Tulsa, Oklahoma in the African American community and the significance of Juneteenth. So this morning, I get up early and I'm listening to the news, and they always send the same black woman that works for Fox to interview him to ask black questions. So she started to interview him and ask him about the fact that he's going to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was like salivating like a dog, waiting for her to ask that question. And he's so disgusting. And when he actually answered the question, he says, "No, you guys should think of it as a celebration that I'm going to go there on that day. I know the importance. So me being there is a celebration." Oh my God, man. This man might as well just pull down his pants and just shit on us. Just be. It's so deplorable. I can't even sometimes think of how just freaking crazy he is. But he's gonna go one freaking step farther than that. So I think it's August the 1st, 1960, 60 years ago in Jacksonville, Florida. That date is called Axe. It was called a Jack Axe slaughter. It was an axe slaughter in Jacksonville, Florida, where the Ku Klux Klan took axes and massacred black activists. I mean, you can axe handle slaughter. Just look it up. Jacksonville, Florida. Sometimes you just have too fucking much shit in my head. He is doing a freaking rally in Jacksonville, Florida on that day. Come on now. Come on. I know this is Miller because he's back there in the back, that demon troll that behind him. Because he only one got this much freaking only one back there that got the is just races in his blood. Come on, dude. You're not gonna pick two dates. You're not gonna pick two dates that are that just wrong. Just wrong, morally wrong. I could sit here and flip, a gasket and have, It's just morally wrong. Wrong is wrong. I don't care if you black, white. If we erected a statue of Adolf Hitler in the middle of anywhere in America, the Jewish people in this country would lose their everlasting mind, and they so should. And they so should. You know what what I intended to talk about is the fact that 45 is ordering, because he's the commander-in-chief. I don't often put my daughter in my politics, but I'm just going to throw this in just quickly. My daughter had all intentions of going in the Air Force Academy or the Coast Guard Academy. More so the Coast Guard Academy, because, you know, they had first African American women were that entered into the academies came into the Coast Guard Academy, so it's some African American female history to it. So we went through all of the necessary interviews and got all the letters in, Congressman Payne, you know, and all the time my heart is pumping, my heart is pumping, my heart is pumping. I was like, oh my God, this man is going to win this thing. And when did he won? I was like, oh, F. Because it was right at my daughter's senior year. And I know she had spoke about this since she started flying in the 8th grade, that she wanted to go into the Air Force Academy. And I'm not about, you know, joining in the military, but, you know, if that's what she wanted to do, I was going to back her. And you know what, but my daughter appreciated my perspective. And even though, you know, she had one more thing to do, she got that letter from Embry-Riddle. I said, Leslie, this was your first choice. You got in. And you can still, they have the biggest freaking, outside of any military academy, number of students that in ROTC. So you could always, you know, go afterwards. So she didn't. She went ahead and went to Embry-Riddle. What's my point? This man has ordered every senior graduating at the military academy to come back just so that he can do a photo op for his ego. No parents can come. So it's not a real celebration. It's only his celebration for himself. No parents can come. These children left out of that academy because of the pandemic. So the President of the United States is ordering, because these kids are technically in the military, to come back so that he can have a mock speech. So they had to open up all the dorms at West Point, had redo everything just so we can do a photo op on West Point campus. You're going to force all of these young kids that just finished their 4 years at West Point, the honor of graduating from a military academy in this country, to put their lives in danger to get all the way back. And so you got to spread them out. You got to go. There's a lot that West Point has to do. But West Point can't say no. Why? West Point is a part of the military. And this fool is head of the military. You had the general who actually, and his name it's out of my mind right now, the one that just came on and apologized. He had no idea. He was going there to the White House really to tell him that you cannot politicize the National Guard. You cannot politicize our military for your personal gain. So what they did is they told him to meet him at the Rose Garden. So he meets him at the Rose Garden. When he comes, they're walking. When they're walking, he joins in the walk. He then ends up at this church where 45 then folds up this Bible, and so the guy, the general is standing there going like, what the F in his head he's saying. But he's there, this is the commander-in-chief, he can't walk away. Like, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I was getting ready to go down every last one of the Confederate generals whose names and statues are erected around this country, and I was going to tell you each and every one of them who were members of the Ku Klux Klan. I was going to tell you that all of these women that 45 is putting on these courts are daughters of the Confederate. That is actually an organization, Daughters of the Confederate. These are descendant daughters of Confederate generals that were for the slaves. I was going to tell you that the picture of Robert E. Lee, which is on in West Point, at his feet on this huge picture sits a slave on West Point's campus. And then it came to my mind that West Point's graduation today is where they are going to have, not today, this weekend, where 45 is going to have these children come just so he can do a photo op. He's going to put these kids' lives in danger for a photo op. You know how many National Guards have now tested positive coronavirus? Come on, y'all. I mean, white America, you got to even come to some realization that your children are going to be affected by this. You know, you had to see a black kid. I mean, black kids have been dying. When they shot that child, I think it's Tamir Rice with the water pistol. Come on, no, you couldn't. You can't imagine, because you can't imagine you with a black child. You can't imagine you watching black people die. So, you know what? I even mistakenly put up a picture of a slaughter of a white man. Can you imagine that? Can you relate to that? And maybe God was giving me another, you know, just throwing me another jewel. You know, because if they can't see your torture in them, then maybe they can see the torture in watching this white man crawl and scream and beg for his life and still get slaughtered by the police. So it is not about demolishing law and order. It's about demolishing the fact that we've used our military and our police force as insiders of the Ku Klux Klan for years. For years. Because they come out of the military and they go right into police departments. They are against the fabric of what the freedoms we talk about. So when he say makes America great again, no, he's not talking about something that we've had, because we've never had greatness. We yell that to the rafters around the world, and because we are Americans, we all want to pretend this greatness is actually happening in this country, and it's not. It's not. It's not. So maybe if white America can just look at what is not happening for you. Look at the poor white people that are getting killed too, like the one that I showed you by mistake because I didn't see it because it was so grainy. And guess what? I think God just needed me to show you that no, white people are being slaughtered, and maybe white people need to see white people be slaughtered to understand why we need to reform the police department. They're not protecting and serving. They're not protecting and serving. They have guns and they're killing. They're killing innocent, weak people, and that includes some white people. So, white America, stop losing your minds. Think about what you're losing. What are you gaining? Do any of you have any stocks? Do any of you have any stocks? Because he's always talking about the stock market. He wants to brag about the stock market. Do any of you have any stocks? Is your money making money right now? Is your sustainable wealth making money right now? Is there a YMCA in your community anymore? But I bet you got a slob of new police cars. We got these ghost cars now here in Jersey. They're black. You can't see that they say police until you get up on it. You know, the first time I saw it, I said, wow, they're getting a little fancy. They're getting a little fancy. You know how much this freaking cars to get these ghost cars just for appearances, so you know, police officers can roll in the car. You know how many times I see police officers do U-turns in the street and only to give you a ticket? How often police officers on their phones in their car only to give you a ticket? How many times I see police officers double parked, talking to one another, yet will go to the next car and give you a ticket? So stop acting as if, you know, because it ain't perfection in the African American community either. We got some righteousness that we need to deal with, because some of them are right there over there with the Republicans. But what we gotta call wrong, wrong. We gotta call wrong, wrong, and it shouldn't be an argument. Slavery shouldn't be an argument. Enslaving people shouldn't be an argument. Fort Bragg. The guy was the head of the Ku Klux Klan. Let me tell you, Fort Benning used to be a Native American community. They slaughtered off the Native Americans. They used it for a plantation. And then they built a military base. So if you go under the fabric, if you pull back all the layers, there's much more racism out there than we even know if you're not just interested in reading all of this crap. I just read too many books sometimes. Maybe just too much gray matter, but it's my hobby. It's my jam, as I say. So we cannot argue about that. Can you argue about the Ku Klux Klan slaughtering people on August 1st in Jacksonville, Florida, slaughtering black people with axes? Axe Handle Saturday. That's what it's called, Axe Handle Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida, August 1st, 1960. It cannot be a coincidence that he's going to do a speech in Jacksonville, Florida on that day, especially when we know he's doing a speech in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Juneteenth. Come on. Come on, guys. This cannot be an argument. In between my breaks of work, and because we're social distancing at home, and because I multitask, and my thing when I'm not working is reading, and I'm a lover of history. So it may not be for everybody. John Brown Clark, he's another one. He was a grand master in the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, there's so many of these generals. Some of these generals they're not even distinguished generals for anything. I think Fort Benning is where the Native Americans were. What is the general? I had his name written down, because all these white generals, I don't always remember all of their names. Henry Benning. He was a Confederate general. He was such a slavery enthusiast. Even after the 1776 and that whole thing, in 1849, a lot of these generals that got on they came on the bandwagon that came from the Confederacy, to appease them, they put up a lot of these. They named a lot of these forts after them, so that you're not fighting again. But let me tell you. This freaking general, such an enthusiast, in 1849, he argued for the dissolution of the Union after the freaking Civil War, and to form a southern, check this out, because a southern slaveocracy. He wanted to form a slaveocracy. Yet his likeness stands as an honorable man. I don't give a damn if that he was a general. If he was a general in the Confederate Army, he was a general trying to kill black people. Yeah, guys, I'm trying. I'm trying. I am trying to. I can do it in sarcasm because I'm a drama queen. Yeah, my daughter always says, "Mom, you good thing you were a lawyer. You won those cases because I used to act them out." I rapped the damn summation one time. That's how dramatic I can be. And I wish this were funny. I wish I could make up a rap because I like to write poetry. I wish I could make up something, but to make it into something funny, it ain't funny no more. It ain't funny no more when you go and drag young cadets back to West Point in the middle of a pandemic. What's the odds that some of those kids are not going to test positive? Is the military ready to pay for that if their lives are lost before they even get a gun in their hands in a war? Why should we be in a war on American soil? That's where we are right now. With him putting up the military and the military trying to be generals and argue with this man about what he should or shouldn't do, but they know that he can override them because he is the commander in chief. You know what kind of, quandary they must be in right now? That he's using the military. Now he knows he can't order them to fire, but their presence can start confusion and calamity. Do we need to convince people that this is not a game? Our death in this country, it has not been a game. And maybe you couldn't see it until we got a pandemic. Maybe you couldn't see it until you saw that young man crying, this white boy crying and begging. Maybe you needed to see a white person in that position. It was my mistake, but maybe you just needed to see it so that you could see that it's not just us. But I can't fight for you right now, but you need to fight for yourself. You need to fight for your poor white people who ain't making shit out of this man. He's not doing nothing for you and yours. I got to fight for me and mine, but you know what? You need to fight for you and yours. You need to fight for you and yours because you and yours are losing too. You're losing too. Only the rich are getting anything out of this man. The 1% that we always talk about. You ain't in that. You ain't in that. You know you're not in it. If you living in a trailer park, you ain't in that. If you living in a double wide on some bricks, you ain't in that. I'm just saying, and I'm not being derogatory. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just telling you, you're not in that. You're not gaining anything for you. He doesn't give a damn about you. It's no coincidence. We have one known Ku Klux Klan rally in New York. What is the chances in Queens that Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, or you just happen to be there at the Ku Klux Klan rally? I don't even have to make it up. You can go look. They still got the picture of everybody arrested at that rally. Fred Trump. Donald Trump's daddy. And if you don't know, I know, and I'm sure the Jews know, Donald Trump's daddy's from Germany. But his granddaddy was a punk like him. And so was his daddy. None of them served in the military. His grandfather fled Germany, went to England, married a Scottish woman, came to the United States, and rode out the war. The only reason why Fred Trump was born in the United States is because when they tried to go back to Germany, the Germans said, hell no, you ain't fighting the war, you ain't welcome back. That's why Donald Trump's father was born in America. Okay? Let's put it all out there. You was a punk to fight in a war. Your granddaddy was a punk to fight in a war. Your daddy was a punk to fight in a war. But he can go into the Ku Klux Klan. So you can go by mob. See, because the Klan is a mob. That's why I said a hanging. Lynching is when you're killed by a mob. So see, mobs with fire in the night while you sleep. Ain't no one-on-one. Ain't a fair one. See, mobs ain't giving you no fair one. They got to come deep. On one man, two men. All these kneeling in the neck, 3, 4. I just put up an ex-football player. Come on, that chokeout move is something that's done all the time, obviously. Because I didn't even put up the other one I just saw, and the man died. This young man just didn't die. Another man, black man, died in the midst of us in the George Floyd on a highway, screaming, I have congestive heart failure, and they choked him out, and his last words was, I can't breathe. You know what? I was not wearing all those kind of shirts. I think I'm just gonna have to order me a shirt. I can't breathe because obviously you need to see it. You need to be visualized. You have to connect to it in order for you to understand. And I don't know why it's that difficult. to understand that murder is just murder, is just murder, is just murder, is just murder. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter whether you're white or black or yellow or green. But I can't fight for you. I only have enough energy for me right now. Remember my mask, my mask, my mask, my mask. I gotta wear my mask. And black people, you wear your mask. But white people, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Argue for yourself. And you know what? I will be there and arguing with you, but until you want to come and recognize why we are arguing. So if you see, I'm willing to help anybody who's willing to help themselves. I am. But you're not trying to even help your damn self, because you ain't winning. So I don't have time for your marginalists right now, because you don't want to even help yourself. So what am I saying? This man is far past narcissism, because if it was just about black and white, you would not be forcing these young children to come back to West Point so that you can make a photo graduation speech. I don't know who's going to write it. Stephen Miller will probably write it, like he's making all of these places up for him to go that are historical negativity issues in the African American community, just to add a little more salt on the wounds, because he knows that he's going to lose. So what he's doing, every single nasty, derogatory thing that he can possibly do to try to just But still I rise. Still